Welcome back to Texas Stadium, where the air temperature is over 100 degrees, and you heard Pat and John say the field temperature is reaching 200 degrees. Now, because of the heat, the Eagles training staff has given IVs to 2 Eagle players they felt might be susceptible to cramping and dehydration. Now, the Eagles have also brought along pickle juice. That's right, it's just off the supermarket shelf pickle juice. Now, there's no evidence to support that pickle juice does prevent cramping. The Eagles just say it does. Now, another thing the Eagles did to keep fresh before the game, they took their team off the field 10 minutes early. 10 minutes early off their pregame routine. Hopefully that does keep them fresh. This is something we'll be keeping up with throughout the game. Back to you, Pat and John.
All right, DJ, thank you very much. Over on the Cowboy bench, they've taken all precautions they can possibly take. You can see the fans and the mist and the umbrellas. And
I don't think I've ever seen an umbrella, have you?
No, I haven't. Not at a football game, not down the field.
It's funny that the Cowboys sideline, their players, their bench is in the sun. Over here on the Eagles sideline, their bench is in the shade.
David Akers is going to kick off for the Eagles, and back deep for Dallas, Jason Tucker and Michael Wiley, the rookie. Akers tries an onside kick to start the season.
Yeah, I saw that thing coming the way that he started. He started over on the right hash mark, and he came all the way across, and he just hit that thing, and the Cowboys were expecting the return, and they all started back.
Damian Douglas.
Watch, you'll see him coming in here, right here, and the way he hits us, and see the Cowboys, they all start running back, and the Eagles get up there. The ball, remember, on an onside kick, the ball has to go at least 10 yards before the kicking team can recover it.
It went 12, and Damian Douglas came up with it, and it's 1st and 10, Philadelphia. That's a positive way to start things off, isn't it? Donovan McNabb with an empty backfield. Throws quickly, pass complete to Chad Lewis, his tight end. Let's look at the Eagle offense. Here's the line. And John Runyon, the most important acquisition, and he is mean and big, and it's contagious. Mayberry, Miller, Wilburn. Those that'll handle the ball: Small, Staley, Martin, Lewis, and Johnson. Donovan McNabb is the quarterback. 2nd and 5. Deuce Staley going to be close to an Eagle first down in Cowboy territory. Here's the Dallas defense. The front four, and they'll be doing a lot of alternating. Greg Ellis and Ebenezer Ekubon, the ends, Hennings and Spellman, the tackles. 3 very mobile linebackers, Coakley, Dadwin, and Hambrick. And the secondary, that's where the problems might lie. McNeil and Larimore, the corners. George Teague and Darren Woodson, the 2 safeties. Quick screen. Charles Johnson, and Johnson gets to about the 41 before he's taken down by Darren Woodson.
You know, I really like what Andy Reid did here. I mean, at some point you have to make a play that's going to change a game, and sometimes it's in the first quarter, sometimes it's the first play of the game, sometimes the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th. But it took a lot of guts to come in here to Dallas, to Texas Stadium, and on the opening kickoff of the season, kick and call an onside kick. That took a lot of guts.
2nd and 5, and so far it's paid off. No points yet, but the Eagles on the move. McNabb gives to Staley, and Staley hammers for an Eagle first down, stopped by Hambrick.
Deuce Staley is one of my favorite players. I think that, you know, if you said who's the most underrated back in all of football, I would say it's Deuce Staley.
Well, as you said in your opening remarks, he's the catalyst.
Yeah, he's the heart and soul of this team, and they have to get those things going. Here's the Cowboys are making a change here. They just brought Leon Lett in for the first time, and I know one thing: the Eagles have a trap for Leon Lett, a tackle trap by John Runyon that they're going to get him on.
Big number 78. This is not the trap. This is McNabb back to screen it to Staley, and Staley crosses the Dallas 20. Down to about the 13-yard line. Stopped again by Woodson.
You know, Deuce Staley just looks quicker and fresher than the Dallas Cowboy defense. You know, we know that the Cowboys are going to have a problem with their defense. I mean, they're undersized at linebacker. They don't have a corner, but you still have to tackle well. And these moves that Deuce Staley made, didn't let any of the Cowboys get in position to make a tackle.
Well, they weren't expecting to be on defense this quickly after they won the toss, but the onside kick was successful, and the Eagles have it 1st and 10. Here's McNabb. Batted down.
That was Leon Lett got in there.
Got the big hand up.
That's the thing that Leon Lett gives you that pressure up the middle. And you're going to see Leon Lett here. He's just going to come up the middle, and he's always been excellent at that. You just get up, and he's a big, tall guy, takes a little inside move, and then gets that hand up, that left hand up, and knocks it right back to Donovan McNabb.
He's 6'6". The Cowboys have made a change at cornerback. It's Philly-based Sparks.
That's one thing they said, that they just picked up Sparks the other day, but they were going to use him in this red zone or inside the 20.
McNabb gives again to Staley. The blocking is good, and Staley is good, and out of bounds at about the 3, a yard shy of a 1st down.
Remember last year in Philadelphia, the Eagles came out in the 2nd half with Deuce Staley, and they kind of been a stale game up until that time, and Deuce Staley just took over that 3rd quarter, and he beat the Cowboys. Look at him. He beat a lot of teams.
Yeah, he did.
Or accounted for a lot of their offense. He accounted for 41% of their offense.
Staley came back to the Eagle bench. Let's see if we can figure out why and what's wrong with him. Maybe a cramp.
No, he was limping there.
Yeah, he was. That's what I thought. They're going to measure with the 1st down. Brian Mitchell, whom they acquired from the Redskins, is going to replace Staley, or has at the moment. There's Deuce Staley over on the bench. They can't lose him.
Well, again, we talked about that heat down there, Pat, being 170 or 180 degrees down there in the field.
It's unbelievable.
And that could just be the effects of that. I mean, because he was running. I mean, he's been running. He's been going full speed. He's been putting some move on.
Mass substitutions by both sides. The Cowboys are hoping for some response from the fans in the end zone, as Joe Bowden is one of the ones who has come in. Stanley Pritchett back with Mitchell. That's Pritchett. Flag on the play. He got to the 1.
Yeah, and that's in the area of holding too.
Tom White.
Although that's not holding, it's against the Cowboys.
Yeah.
I think they're signaling too many men on the field.
It's Tom White, the referee.
You get that early in the regular season. I mean, you have it all the time in preseason where you don't have your substitutions down. And, you have, 10 guys in there, sometimes 12 guys in there.
I'll bet you that never happened to you after 6 weeks of training camp.
Nope. That I will say that never did happen.
Guys are supposed to know they're making reasonably good money. I think you'd have to say they ought to be able to tell when they're supposed to be in the game.
The goal remains 1st down.
1st down.
This is where they have to go in behind. We talked about the size and John Runyon and how they gave him all that money to come over from Tennessee, and he's a right tackle, and you'd think when you get in this situation, that's why you're paying him all that money, and that you would run in on that side right there.
He is big. Mitchell came in motion. McNabb dumps it in the end zone. Touchdown to Jeff Thomason.
That's not a bad move there. I'm really impressed with what Coach Andy Reid did. I mean, that whole drive, you expect him to run. You expect him to run in there behind Runyon. They fake in there behind Runyon, throw it into the end zone to Thomason. But it all started, remember this, with that onside kick.
Yep.
And having the gut. We all have onside kicks in life, but having the guts to call it.
Yep.
That was big.
On opening kickoff, opening day on the road. There are a lot of things that go into that. Akers to try the extra point. And the Eagles lead it 7-0. They strike in a hurry. McNabb to Thomason puts him on the scoreboard. Akers extra point's good.
Fox NFL Sunday is brought to you by Southwest Airlines, proud sponsor of the NFL and official airline of the Super Bowl.
Let's watch the touchdown again. Here's Barron Wortham right here. Now watch, the motion takes the outside guy. He comes up. He thinks it's a run, and then Jeff Thomason just gets right in there behind him.
Akers to kick off. Doesn't look like an onside kick this time. That's Jason Tucker about a yard deep in the end zone, coming out with it. Tucker hit before he gets back to the 20 by Barry Gardner, who takes him down. It is hot. Every precaution has been taken, but it's still hot. First quarter, 7-0 Philadelphia over Dallas. Here's the Cowboy offense. The offensive line supposed to be one of the best. Adams, Allen, Stepnoski, Page, and Eric Williams, who was late reporting. Ishmael, Emmett Smith, Robert Thomas, the two backs. David LaFleur is not starting. It's Jackie Harris and then Joey Galloway.
You know, the interesting thing here, Pat, on first down, the Eagle defense has 5 defensive backs in. They substituted, and they're using nickel on first down.
And the Cowboys go with the empty backfield. And Aikman drops. Aikman falls down, tripped up. Corey Simon, the rookie, tripped up Aikman as he started to retreat.
The rookie #1 draft choice. That's why they brought Corey Simon in here, is to get pressure up the middle. And you watch him here. That's good coverage. You see Aikman, he tried to throw. He had to bring it back down. Then when he brought it back down, Corey Simon was right there. But that's what you call a coverage sack. He couldn't throw the ball when he wanted to. Then he had to hold it until Corey Simon got there.
2nd and 17. The Eagles substitute defensive backs this time. Reverse. Ishmael and the Rocket can rocket. Out to almost the 50-yard line. Out to the 48. Al Harris knocked him out of bounds.
Well, they got a good block on Brian Dawkins. You're going to see Dawkins is going to be right up here, and you see the block there. He just gets erased there, and then Rocket Ismail has great speed, and once he can get to the outside, he is going to take it up the sideline. But watch here, Dawkins comes up right there. Larry Allen just buries him. And then Rocket Ismail was right behind Larry Allen.
Picked up 37 yards. This is Emmett Smith, and Emmett flashes into the Eagles secondary. His first carry this year. He didn't play in the preseason.
We got a barn burner here.
Though. Good day to burn a barn. The Eagle defense, the front four, Douglas, Thomas, Simon, and Mamula. They'll be alternating a lot of people. Gardner, Trotter, and Carlos Emmons, the linebackers. And the secondary is a good secondary. Taylor and Vincent, the corners. Dawkins and Moore, the safeties. 1st and 10 Cowboys at the Eagle 40. Aikman back to throw it. The blitz is coming, and Aikman goes down. First there was Mike Mamula.
Yeah, there was talk about Mike Mamula, whether he was going to start or not. Mike Mamula is starting today at the left end. Remember, he's played right end, he's played left end. He just takes an inside move there on Eric Williams. You see, and he beat Eric Williams to the inside and then right up on Troy Aikman. The Eagles, as we said earlier, have always put pressure on Troy Aikman, generally, and specifically always up the middle.
Right. Carlos Emmons with an assist to Mamula. Here's Aikman with protection this time. The pass outside almost picked off. Almost picked off by Al Harris. Intended for Joey Galloway.
Anytime you get a divisional rivalry game like we have here today, you get a lot of talking. Al Harris is a good corner. He's the 3rd corner, and he comes in as a nickel corner. And you see here, he's just playing the outside to try and throw it to Galloway. Ooh. Al Harris got a better jump on that ball than Joey Galloway. Joey Galloway ran that pattern way too close to the sideline.
3rd and 15. Chris Warren in the backfield this time. And Aikman back to throw. Doesn't have time again. This time he's wrapped up by Hugh Douglas from the other side.
And that was from a 3-man line. And one thing, Jim Johnson is the defensive coordinator of this Philadelphia Eagle defense, and he does a heck of a job of mixing up every defense. You see, it's a 3-man line, and here comes Hugh Douglas just right there. He just went to the inside. They tried to keep a tight end, David LaFleur, in to block him, and he just went right inside of LaFleur.
Brian Mitchell back deep. Micah Knorr, the rookie punter for the Cowboys.
One thing they want to do is keep Troy Aikman on the turf, and they've got a good start at it.
Not a very good kick. And bounds out of bounds at about the 25. Knorr didn't get all of it. 7:54 left to play in the first quarter at Texas Stadium, and the Eagles up 7-0. This week on Fox Saturday Baseball, Derek Jeter and the Yankees visit Fenway Park to take on Nomar Garciaparra and the Red Sox, or the Padres hope to shut down Barry Bonds and the Giants. Plus other regional action. Fox Saturday Baseball this week, 12:30 Eastern and Pacific. Check your local listings. Staley nudges ahead. That win made the stop.
We talked about how Deuce Staley was the guy, 3 rushes, 25 yards. And then, but how about Donovan McNabb? He's been 4 out of 5 for 32 yards. And of course, he got that play pass for the touchdown. All his completions, or all his passes have been under 10 yards. So what the Eagles are starting here is a ball control offense, a running game. Here they have an open backfield, no one in the backfield here. And then the short passing game.
McNabb retreats, pass complete to Staley. And Staley breaks one tackle. Staley to midfield, out of bounds.
I'll tell you, he's something. And we were talking to him last night about that because we knew that the Eagles were going to use some empty backfield. And you know, but, I mean, he says that he enjoys this as much as running the ball, just getting the ball in the open field. And you can see when he gets in the open field that he just has complete disdain for those tacklers. I mean, he just took Dexter Coakley, who's a pretty good linebacker, and with one hand he just goes boom, and he just swatted Coakley away.
And the next attempted tackle, he just stepped out of that one.
He is something special.
1st and 10 at the 48-yard line of Dallas. Here's McNabb. Up the middle. Incomplete. Intended for Johnson. Thrown a little too hard. That's a tough pass to throw that hard that far.
Well, you know, he didn't mean to throw it that far, but he had so much time back there. You just watch him. He was looking short. This is one of those things. Usually a guy looks short and then dumps it off. I mean, looks deep and then dumps it off short. He was looking short, and then he dumps it off to Charles Johnson deep.
Big Leon led the big cat back into trying to apply some pressure to McNabb.
There's big Leon Lett right there. There's a tackle trap.
And there is Deuce Staley behind the block of Runyon.
Yeah, that was the play that they were talking about. Andy Reid said to John Runyon, he says, "You want to trap Leon Lett?" And he says, "Yeah, I know where he is. He just runs straight up the field." He said, "And I'll take a trap." Now, John Runyon comes from the right side. You see, they let Leon Lett go, and John Runyon comes from the right side and really unloads all 340 pounds on
Now
him.
that is a pretty good trap.
I know. Well, he was talking about that.
Yeah,
he was saying that he wanted to do that, and John Runyon last night, he had a little gleam in his eye when he knew he was going to trap Leon Lett.
3rd and 3. Here's McNabb. That ball hit the ground first. Caught it on the hop did Chad Lewis, and the Eagles are going to have to punt. Sean Landetta is the Philadelphia Eagle punter. How long have we been saying that name? He played with the Giants when Bill Parcells was coaching the Giants still.
And he still has that ugly single bar face mask that had to be used back in the 1950s.
That's a very youthful picture.
Bobby Beathard is still upset that he never got Sean Landetta. He said he got every other guy from Towson State. He said they didn't get Landetta when he was with the Washington Redskins.
That's a good kick. Sailing down and into the end zone. And the Eagles down it, and the Cowboys will start from their own 20. Philadelphia leading 7-0, but they've been in complete control of this contest. That shot might make you think it's nice and cool in Dallas.
They ought to do that to the fans here.
Yeah.
Just pour some water, hose them down.
Emmett. Hugh Douglas stopped him. Aikman has been under pressure.
You know, he's been back to pass 4 times, and they've sacked him 3 times. And then the other time he was hurried. So you can see that's the Eagles' plan. But it's always been against Troy Aikman.
Oh, sure it has.
The Cowboys know it. Troy Aikman knows it. Jim Johnson, the defensive coordinator, knows he always wants to play Troy Aikman that way. And the Eagles always do this to him.
Here's Aikman back to throw. And this time he has time and throws behind Robert Thomas out of the backfield. That wouldn't have been much if it had been completed.
Now, that wouldn't have been nothing. I mean, you throw into a guy who used to be a linebacker a year ago, and that's the thing. You know, you can talk about, you know, you get Joey Galloway, and he has great speed. You got Rocket Ismail on the other side. You have James McKnight, who has speed as your 3rd wide receiver. But if you can't block for your quarterback, if you can't protect him, all that other stuff is academic. You're throwing it to some linebacker.
Chris Warren is now in the backfield. 3rd down. Aikman retreats. And there's another break as Aikman just barely gets rid of it. Incomplete. Joey Galloway, the intended receiver, but Troy took a hit.
And they are going after Troy Aikman. We just watch a stunt here. There's either a blitz or a stunt or something going on all the time. I mean, when they get a shot at him, they really take it. That was Jeremiah Trotter there.
Jim Johnson said last night, if you don't go, you'll never know.
That's right. And they've been going since they got off the bus here today.
They really have.
It looks like everything they're doing is a half a beat quicker than Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, this kick was almost blocked. Micah Norris kick. This is Brian Mitchell to return it. Mitchell has long been one of the best. Gets up to the 40. Ike Reese almost blocked it. 7-0, Philadelphia leading. At Texas Stadium, Pat Summerall with John Madden. Earlier this afternoon, the temperature down on the playing surface was over 180 degrees. That's one of those things you can't really comprehend unless you go down there.
And you were down there. I watched you down there. You were down there in your blazer.
I didn't stay there long. This is Staley, stopped by Dat Wynn.
Yeah, we were talking about how it just seems like the Eagles are about a half a beat in every area quicker than the Cowboys are today, and they're just taking to them. I mean, especially on defense. I mean, they're getting those inside moves, they're getting those shoulders, they're getting inside the shoulders. They're doing all those things, and they're beating the Cowboys by a half a step in every area.
2nd and 9. Staley again. Another couple of yards. Stopped by Spellman and Darren Woodson.
Staley is going to be one tired son of a gun tomorrow. I would think that you have to really measure how many times you run him, especially in the first half. I think that in this game you're going to need Deuce Staley at the end of the 3rd quarter and into the 4th quarter to have some freshness to win this game for you.
The Eagles lead it 7-0. 3:31 left in the 1st. McNabb points and retreats. McNabb has all the time in the world. He gives it to Staley, and Staley is near a 1st down, and I think with the last surge, he got it.
And that's the way he plays. I mean, Deuce Staley always plays if there's one more surge, and he's never down. I mean, he's always going to play until he gets that 1st down. He does it as a runner, and we see him doing it as a pass receiver. But the Cowboys are not getting to McNabb at all. I mean, he's had time. Remember on that last series, he had so much time. He threw a deep one to Charles Johnson, who was about his 4th read.
Pepe Zellner, some fresh legs in to try to put some heat on McNabb.
Depends on what kind of talent those fresh legs bring with them. because this is a pretty good offensive line. You know, I mean, we talked about John Runyon, the right tackle, and he's brought a certain amount of nastiness, they say, to this offensive line,
and it's contagious.
It is contagious, and you can see, you know, Trey Thomas, you know, the left tackle, is a better player now. They got John Welborn, who was a tackle, is starting now at left guard. He beat out Brzezinski. In fact, there's Welborn right there. He went to the University of California. Listen to this. Went to the University of California. He's a guard. He's a big old offensive lineman. Was a tackle last year and majored in rhetoric. Now, what in the heck is a major in rhetoric? At UC Berkeley.
Yep.
And there's a degree in rhetoric. And
well, now what is it? You know what rhetoric is?
I think it's what you do, you know, when you just talk a lot. You do, you know, like someone says, that guy's full of rhetoric.
Yeah, well.
All it does is talk rhetoric. I don't know, it's talking, I think.
Here's Deuce Staley. And Deuce knocked out of bounds.
Watch out.
By Ryan McNeil over the bench. Over the ball bag. With all that equipment they've got down there, with an attempt to stay somewhat cool.
Yeah, I would think that, you know,
a lot of debris.
You know, when it comes on your sideline, someone should have caught Deuce Staley.
Yep.
I mean, you know, at this point, you can't go out in the field, but someone there should have caught him.
They all get out of the way.
Yeah. I mean, someone, you know, they're trying to catch him, but they don't catch him until he's over the bench.
I think that was Harold Carmichael.
Harold couldn't bend down that low.
That's right. That's Brian Mitchell. And Mitchell to the Dallas 35. George Teague made the hit. There's Staley.
Stop by number 31.
I think they're checking Staley's right leg there.
Yep.
You don't know if he twisted her or if he hit it there in the bench, but that's something that they don't need right now.
Well, it looked earlier as if he were cramping a little bit.
I wouldn't be surprised if we're going to see half the players cramp
I
here
wouldn't
today.
either. That's George Teague.
George Teague is the guy that just hit Brian Mitchell.
Yeah.
That was a heck of a collision.
I'm not sure if George Teague hit Brian Mitchell or the reverse.
Well, they both. I mean, they were like a head-on collision there, and you're going to see it. I mean, Brian Mitchell is a run finisher. George Teague is a pretty good tackler, and right there, I mean, Teague did tackle him. Teague got underneath his shoulder.
Yeah.
Usually, the guy that gets the lowest is the guy that wins. Teague got the lowest, but he didn't win.
There were a couple of whiplashes there by Teague and by the ball carrier.
Yeah, that was like your grandfather years ago.
Whipsaw.
He got whipsawed.
Yeah.
That was.
But that was in a sawmill.
Yeah, I think.
He didn't know what football was.
Brian Mitchell there just put a whipsaw on Teague.
There's Deuce Staley.
This is
what happened to him earlier.
Play right here, and you don't see there. I mean, it doesn't look like he twisted anything. I mean, he's standing on his head at one point. I mean, that's the old heels overhead. But I think if he hurt anything, it was when the leg hit the bench.
Got a gash on his shin, we're told.
And then that would have been when the leg hit the bench.
Yeah. Cecil Martin is in the backfield. Here's McNabb stepping up in the pocket, and McNabb, who can run, pressure for the first time from Ecubon.
That was the thing. See, they know that they want to get pressure, and then when he stays there, then come back to the inside. You see the way Ecubon is right there, because they know that when McNabb looks, he has a clock in his head, and when he's going to take off, he takes off straight up the middle.
Which is kind of unusual.
Right, so they want to come up the field, and then, you know, about that time to go underneath their block to block off that middle for McNabb to run.
Brian Mitchell, the deep back. McNabb fakes left, started to screen it, and now he's going to take off. McNabb grabbed around the head just before he went down. Brian Mitchell, who always seems to be in some kind of a scuffle, is in another one at the end of the play.
And it's always at the end of the play with Brian Mitchell. Yep. Remember all those years with the Redskins?
Yes.
Whatever happened, you'd have to stay on Brian Mitchell. And we were talking about how players are going to continue to tramp. That's Darren Woodson there. And I think we're going to see that all day. See, this is a fake screen left, screen right. Now, this fake screen left, he faked, he went to the right, the screen wasn't there, so he did what? Boom, right up the middle.
And got very close to a first down.
You know, and he's one of those guys like Steve Young. I mean, he takes a collapse job there.
Yep.
He's one of those guys like Steve Young that when he runs, he's as good a runner as a running back.
You just look at him. He doesn't look that big. That's Darren Woodson, who plays very big. But Donovan McNabb is 6'2", close to 230. That's ice going on Deuce Staley.
You know, we're just talking about how you have to kind of measure your plays and keep some guys out and maybe have them for that third and fourth quarter. And this is what that time of possession is so big. You know, that you say, you know, it's only 7-0 here, but this defense of the Cowboys isn't a strength of their team this year, and they're going to start wearing down quickly. I mean, we're still in the first quarter, and they've been out there a lot of that first quarter.
Well, they're doing their best and have done their best to get fresh legs on the field, but as hot as it is, it's going to be hard to find a pair. A little bit short of a first down. 28 seconds left in the first quarter. Dominated by the Eagles.
From the first start, if you look here, look at Philadelphia has had the ball 10 minutes, 31 seconds, and 20 plays, and that means that the Dallas defense, of the 15 minutes in the quarter, have been out there over 10 minutes of it.
It's third and short with 28 seconds left in the first quarter, and the Eagles leading by a touchdown. The clock's running, and the Eagles need about a foot for a first. Martin and Pritchett are the two backs behind McNabb.
Just have to get to the yellow line.
McNabb fake, fires up the middle, incomplete, and there's a flag on the play. Johnson, the intended receiver. Flags came flying from everywhere.
Yeah, that was one that the Cowboys really covered well, though, because it's going to be interference, so the ball's going to be on the 1 yard line. But the Cowboys had that well covered because they went play pass, and then they were trying to get the ball deep, and they had them double covered. And Donovan McNabb threw right into it.
Number 43, defense in the end zone. The ball was placed on the 1 yard line. First down.
You'll see Izell Reese is number 43 there, and you see he runs into him and he's not looking at the ball. Charles Johnson was trying to reach back. Izell Williams, now if he would have been looking back, he would have been okay, but he wasn't looking back. They had good position. I mean, they were inside out on him.
Deuce Staley is back in the game. Staley is the deep back, and the handoff is to Deuce Staley. And he nudged it into the end zone for the Eagles' second touchdown. They lead it 13-0 with the extra point to come.
Now, 1 minute you see he has the socks down, they're putting ice on him, they're doing all this stuff, and the next thing they know, when you get down there, I mean, that penalty was a 25-yard penalty, but you get these opportunities, you got to bang it in there. And who's going to bang it in there for you? This guy right here.
As you said earlier, one of the most underrated backs in the NFL. He's not underrated in Philadelphia, though.
No, he's the heart and soul of this offense.
The extra point by Akers is good. It's 14-0. As the first quarter is about to come to a close. 2 seconds left on the scoreboard clock.
Southwest Airlines brings freedom to the
next week. It's a Fox NFL Sunday doubleheader beginning with Terry Howie, JB, and Chris on America's favorite pregame show. Then Michael Strahan and the Giants take on the Eagles, followed by the Rams battle against the Seahawks, plus other regional matchups. And we want to call special attention to those of you in Denver who for the first time will get a bonus early game prior to the Falcons-Broncos matchup. So be sure to make it a full day of football action right here on Fox, starting at noon Eastern, 9 Pacific next Sunday. Check your local listings.
There's someone getting their shoes cut off.
It's got to have shoes.
Yep, Trey Thomas. You remember there was a famous game, I forget what it was, and it was real hot like this, and it was the 49ers played in it, and I think maybe it was in St. Louis, but half their team lost the first and second layer of skin on their feet.
This is Jason Tucker. There's a flag on the play as he had some room.
Looked like there for a second, and he had a lot of room, didn't he?
Yes, he did. But a flag on the play is holding against Dallas.
But the Cowboys are glad this first quarter of football is over.
It's been a nightmare.
Dave Campo in his first game as a head coach ever started off, and they get an onside kick against him, and he's down 14-0 in the
Number
quarter.
44 during the return. There's a 10-yard penalty, and that is the end of the first quarter. We will exchange hands.
Robert Thomas. That's the end of the first quarter with the score: the Eagles 14, the Cowboys nothing. Fox NFL Sunday from Dallas will continue after these messages.
Here's the penalty on the kickoff return. Watch Robert Thomas here. He was a linebacker, switched to a fullback, but once a linebacker, always a linebacker. Watch the job that he does here. Boom, that's a tackle. Then it's a takedown. Then it's a pin.
But I'm not sure it should have been a penalty. It looked like a very good block. This is Emmitt Smith looking for some play.
I think he grabbed him with both hands and took him down is what it was.
Well, I guess that is a penalty.
Yeah. You know, and the Cowboys, remember, they led the league in penalties last year. Look at this first quarter here. These are big things. Look at this: 9 first downs for the Eagles, only 2 for the Cowboys, and the Cowboys already in one quarter have been sacked 3 times.
Look at the passing yards for Dallas, -20.
Well, every time he goes back to pass, he's been on his back.
Yeah. On second down, it's Emmitt Smith, and Emmitt right now, I'm sure he's very warm, but let's go down to DJ Johnson.
Hey, you know, the temperature's starting to change a little bit down here. The Eagles bench is in the shade now, and the Cowboys are still out in the sun. Now, before the game, we talked to Cowboys coach Dave Campo. He said this is something his team should be prepared for. He said for the past 4 months, they've practiced in this weather. So if anybody's going to be ready, they should be. Now, before the game, I pointed out to Troy Aikman that in the middle of the field, the temperature is 175 degrees. He shrugged it off and said, hey, just tell me what the temperature is in the end zone. Back up to you, Pat.
All right, DJ, thank you. Cowboys train up at Wichita Falls. And this pass is picked off by Jeremiah Trotter. Touchdown at Philadelphia.
Well, it looks like the Cowboys have been getting too ready for the weather and not ready for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Isn't that
because they're taking it to them in every area you can take it to them. Jeremiah Trotter is one of those guys that is going to be a very good middle linebacker in a day. I mean, you start here, he starts at middle linebacker. He starts there, and he's just reading the zone. He's going out, and when Troy Aikman turns, he turns and he moves to that thing, and he's right on that.
You say he's going to be?
I think he's going to be a top middle linebacker.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a, he started out special teams guy, became a starter, is a very good starter, and I think he's soon to be a top middle linebacker.
He's from Hooks, Texas, not too far away.
I think you'd have to be tough if you're from Hooks, Texas.
You know who else is from Hooks, Texas? Remember the great Billy Sims?
Billy Sims, yeah.
Yep. That's 21-0. A long, long first quarter, and so far the second quarter for Troy Aikman. That's the way the Cowboys have looked so far. 21-0. The Eagles have taken it to them.
Well, you know, they set the tempo. They set the tempo by knocking Troy Aikman down. And then on that last one, Troy Aikman was just looking all the way at his receiver, and Jeremiah Trotter just read him perfectly.
Here's Akers' kickoff. It's going to be handled by Jason Tucker at about the 2. Tucker tripped up at about the 28. Here's the last Eagle touchdown.
If you watch Jeremiah Trotter, you're going to see he's right here. Watch as Troy Aikman goes back. He starts to look this way. Trotter starts to come this way. The ball's thrown, and he gets a jump on it. Watch as he starts. He's just playing zone. He starts out. Now Aikman is looking that way and turns that way. Jeremiah Trotter just jumps right in front of it. That's the thing. I think they got Troy Aikman a little shook up, and now he feels that he has to get rid of the ball quickly, and he's starting to look at just one receiver.
The one back. Well, now they're two backs. Thomas in front of Emmitt Smith. Here comes that blitz again, and Emmitt Smith is tackled behind the line of scrimmage by Damon Moore.
Yeah, that's the thing. You know, we talk about Jim Johnson and how he's going to move everything around, and he brings the safeties up, and they try and hit that thing perfectly. They try and, you know, let those linemen get on linemen and linebackers, and then hit a free gap. And that's exactly what happened on that play. You know, you have blitzes for the run, and you also, I mean, you have blitzes for the pass, but you also have blitzes for the run.
2nd and 11. Aikman fires outside, incomplete.
And Aikman's on his back again. I'll tell you, that's the thing. We just showed a picture there of Jim Johnson, the defensive coordinator. And he said, you know, when you blitz, he said, sometimes you're going to knock the guy down, sometimes you're going to sack him, but this hurry is a big thing too, because when you hurry the guy and that is a timing offense, then they don't have their timing. You see, the minute that he feels that he gets in that back foot and the ball has to come out, whap, there's someone right in his face.
It's 3rd and 11, and Aikman, when he's gotten rid of the ball, has had to throw off his back foot every time. Here they come again, and down he goes again. Darling, and Aikman stays down a long time here.
Well, eventually they have to do something about this, or he's going to stay down a lot longer.
Yes, he is.
I mean, they either have to get their running game going, or they have to get their pass protection going. But it's tough to do when it's 21-0. But they have to remember that they have plenty of time. You know, they don't have to pressure, they don't have to rush, they don't have to do anything stupid, because they have plenty of time to do it. But they do have to start establishing something.
Micah Knorr back to punt for Dallas, left-footed. Brian Mitchell will field it. It's a high kick. He signals fair catch and makes it. The Eagles take over at their own 36. 12-12 left to play in the first half. Philadelphia 21, Dallas nothing. (21-0). The Eagles lead Dallas. They were just checking Troy Aikman.
Well, it's just a matter of time. I mean, you look, he's been sacked 4 times, hurried 6 times, and hit 6 times, and they were looking right here. You can see the looking in his eyes, and you know that he has a history of concussions, and that's the first thing you think they're checking for.
McNabb. Incomplete.
And you know, the funny thing is, or not the funny thing, the ironic thing is that the Eagles are just the opposite. I mean, Donovan McNabb has had all kinds of time.
Yes,
we see Randall Cunningham, the backup quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, warming up now, and
the ex-Eagle.
I would suspect that there may be something in that check that they were doing, because he's starting to get serious about it now. And if there is a concussion, of course, Troy Aikman's not going to be back.
That's Deuce Staley. Right now, for an update, let's return to James Brown in Los Angeles.
Pat and John, what a day for Tiki Barber of the New York Giants. Take a look at this second quarter run, 78 yards to pay dirt. He had 144 yards and 2 touchdowns on the day as the Giants, a team that Terry picks to do well, went on to win it 21-16. Back to Pat and John.
3rd and 6 back at Texas Stadium. Philadelphia leading Dallas 21-0. Cowboys have been able to get nothing going on offense. Now McNabb is pointing for the Eagles. The clock is running down, and he just does get it off.
Look at the time he has.
And he just tucks it away and trots out of bounds for a first down.
And they have this Cowboy defense worn down. You know, you can just see that they're not getting a rush here. And then when McNabb starts to run, there's no one that can really chase him. See the protection? Look at the pocket there. That's a perfect pocket.
Yep.
Then there was no one open, and he just took off, and then there was still no one open, so he just kind of runs for a first down and steps out of bounds. That's looking way too easy this early in the game.
1st and 10, Philadelphia at the Dallas 49. Here's Deuce Staley, hit hard by Darren Hambrick. They played together in college.
Yep, that was D. Ham and Captain H.
Yep.
And he just hit him right there. It looked like, in fact, Deuce Staley saying that was my fault, but I don't think so. I think he ran into a stunt. I think that Hambrick was stunting into the hole that Deuce Staley was running in.
2nd and 12. Staley is the deep back. McNabb to throw it. Pulls it down. McNabb lofted into the pack. Dat Wynn had a chance and maybe could have gone if he'd been able to hold on. That should have been an interception.
Yeah, and that's the type of play the Cowboys need. I mean, they need something to turn this momentum around. You can see they're still checking Troy Aikman. We know that, as we said, he's had a history of concussions. In fact, he's had 6 concussions.
Well, Randall Cunningham, who's the backup, was warming up. He's had tendonitis in his right arm, and he's the only backup quarterback the Cowboys have.
Right, if they had to go to a desperation quarterback, would be Joey Galloway.
Here's Staley, and Staley,
look at him go.
Down inside the Cowboy 35. First down, tripped up by Izell Reese.
Deuce Staley has moves on moves, doesn't he?
You really, something.
And again, but they've been quicker, this offense, and Deuce Staley's been quicker than this defense all day. You see, I mean, they get shots in, and he's just too quick for him. I mean, he's making moves, and he's running by him and through him, and part of it is missing tackles, but a bigger part of it is Deuce Staley making them miss.
He's just too quick, as you said.
He's already had 12 carries, and he has 68 yards.
Mitchell replaces Deuce Staley. Running back spot. Here's McNabb. Fires it out of bounds.
The one thing, the Cowboys are starting a rookie corner, Kareem Larimore, and everyone thought that that's who they'd work on, because in preseason they were doing that. Everyone was throwing against Larimore, and it doesn't look like that's part of the Eagles' plan, nor do they need that part of a plan.
Ryan McNeil is the veteran. He's the other cornerback.
Troy Aikman doesn't look like he's able to shake that, does he? You know, you can tell when you get that concussion type of thing, you know, you keep trying to get out of it, and you keep trying to get out of it, and you just don't come out of it.
Pass is caught by Todd Pinkston in front of McNeil.
Todd Pinkston is a rookie. He was a 2nd-round draft choice for the Eagles. He's their 3rd wide receiver. I think Torrance Small had a hamstring earlier.
Yes. So it's 3rd and 2. 8:50 left in the 2nd quarter. The distribution for McNabb.
Yeah, he's moved it around pretty well. 6 to his wide receivers, 3 to his tight ends, and 4 to his running backs.
Mitchell swings out in motion, and the ball comes out to him. And Mitchell throws the ball over his right shoulder. If they mark it where he put the ball down, that'll be a first down.
You know, one thing is, you know, the Philadelphia Eagles didn't show a lot in preseason.
Right.
And I think all those things that they didn't show in preseason, they're showing now. And you know, I mean, all those blitzes that we've seen get to Troy Aikman, all this empty backfield, all these, you know, substitutions there. They've been practicing on this and just not using it in games.
I think all the teams have been doing that. Staley moves up to the halfback spot. McNabb throws it out to Torrance Small, and he maybe got a yard.
That's what you have to do with that play. I think in the NFL, you know, screens are getting to be a bigger and bigger thing. And Chicago Bears probably run more screens than anyone else. And I know that it's going to be a bigger part of the Eagles' offense this year. And when you get those screens and those quick passes out like that, you have to have good tackles. I mean, like Ryan McNeil come up and made that tackle, so that play was a nothing play.
Second down, 9.
Second and 9. McNabb fakes and throws in the end zone incomplete. Intended for or in the direction of Torrance Small.
Torrance Small, incomplete. Correct Blairmore on the coverage.
Troy Aikman is headed for the locker room. So when the Cowboys get the ball again, it'll be Randall Cunningham.
You could just feel that, and you could darn near see it coming.
Yeah.
They started out, and every time Troy Aikman went back to throw, they were knocking him down to the turf. Never did complete a pass. And, you know he has a history of concussions, and you know that the Eagles were going to put pressure on him, and that's the way they play it, and they always do, and they did it again.
Shuttle pass. This time to Luther Broughton. The tight end shuttle behind the line took the forward pass from quarterback McNabb. A way that's been rather common lately.
Yeah, and McNabb runs this well. I mean, it's not good enough for a first down. See, what you do is you pull a lineman around, and then the guy that you pull, it was Mayberry, the right guard. When he pulled, he missed his block. If Mayberry makes that block, that could have possibly been a first down.
Here's David Akers from 33 yards out. Plenty of distance and good. The Eagles move further ahead, 24-0. Akers successful from 33 yards away, and it's the Eagles 24, Dallas nothing. A couple of years ago in Minnesota, looked like he was going to be the Viking quarterback forever. Word on Troy Aikman is that he does have a concussion, and it's questionable whether or not he'll be back. Tucker.
If Troy Aikman has a concussion, there's no way he's going to be back.
No. He's had 6.
And you just see how it started. I mean, it could have been any one play, but you can just see it's not only the hits when you get hit in the head, but it's that whole snapping of the head, and then the body and the head hitting the turf.
It could be a combination of many hits.
Yeah, and here comes Randall Cunningham, where so many years was a Philadelphia Eagle quarterback for so many great years.
Well, he holds a lot of Eagle passing records career-wise, and followed that with those great years in Minnesota after a year out of football. Chris Warren, let's go down to D.J. Johnson again.
Hey guys, I got to take a look at Troy Aikman as he walked off the field, and I played in the NFL for 8 years, and I've seen that look before. Sort of glassy-eyed, and I'd be surprised if he came back in. Like I said, I've been a victim of that before, and I've seen it before, so I'd be very surprised if I came back in. He just didn't have that look in his eyes like he would return. Back up to you, Pat and John.
Well, if he's got a concussion, he's not coming back.
No, and then you wonder, how about next week, the week after that, the week after that, the month after that? I mean, we're talking something that could be more serious here than just meets the eye.
As Cunningham stumbles getting away, throws to Jackie Harris for a loss. Bobby Taylor up quickly.
Randall Cunningham, of course, this is his first year with the Cowboys, and as you said, he had a bad arm, missed a lot of training camp, didn't play much in the preseason, and they have a special set of plays for him. They give him the game plan, and they let him circle the plays that he likes, and then those were the plays that they would use if they had to use him, and now they have to use him, and those are the plays they're going to be using.
And he has no backup. As you mentioned, Joey Galloway is the third quarterback, and Cunningham, that's the one thing he can do, is get away from the pressure. He's always been able to run.
Yeah, and that's a way that they may be able to use that speed.
That's Pepe Zellner, who's walking toward that locker room as well. I'm not sure what's the problem with him.
Well, I mean, one of the problems today that a lot of these players are going to have is dehydration.
Yes, sure.
And then when they get dehydrated, then they take them in and they give them an IV. And I'll bet you there'll be a lot of players getting IVs at halftime of this game.
Micah Knorr back to punt. Line drive to Brian Mitchell. And he'll have a chance to do some work with this one. Gets up to about the 41 where the Eagles will take over in good shape again. Flag on the play. Way back down the field.
Yeah, you had the feeling this whole game, I mean, from the beginning of the game, from the onside kick on, that the Eagles were more ready to play today than the Dallas Cowboys.
Well, the onside kick worked so perfectly to start things.
And then on offense, they looked like they were just a little quicker. On defense, a step quicker.
Holding number 56 during the kick. It's a 10-yard penalty from the spot where they gained possession of the ball. It'll be a first down for Philadelphia. Timeout.
This is the way the game started. I mean, an onside kick, and boom, it works. And I think Andy Reid made an aggressive call there, and the Eagles have been aggressive ever since.
Just over 4.5 minutes left in the first half. Andy Reid certainly brought his troops in here ready, didn't he?
He sure did, and in all areas. We talked about, we just showed that onside kick, which is a special team.
Yep.
Play their offense. I mean, their protection from McNabb has been outstanding. Deuce Staley has, had some great holes and made some great runs. Their pressure that they put on Troy Aikman was just unbelievable. I mean, they came from everywhere. I mean, they bring linebackers, they bring defensive backs, they get an overload on every side, and their mixture has been perfect.
First and 10, the Eagles at their own 19. Staley, no gain.
I was talking to John Runyon last night. We were talking about furniture.
Yeah.
Here's a guy that's 6'7" and 340 pounds, and he said, I just look for something when I plop on it, it doesn't crack. And I understand that. I mean, I've been there, but they don't make. I don't know how they make furniture. They get like the size of chairs and the size of, but they're making it for like 30 or 40. I don't think they've changed their standard for sizes of chairs and furniture.
Well, they don't make it for guys like him.
Yeah, but they have to.
They should, but that's got to be special.
Yeah, but they have to start. I mean, if you look at all these players, I mean, they're not all as big as old John Runyon, but people are getting bigger today. And then, but the furniture has never really grown with the people that are getting bigger.
Not many people get a lot bigger than John Runyon.
No. He didn't play.
He's a basketball player.
Yeah, he was a basketball player his freshman and sophomore year in high school. He didn't start playing football until his junior year in high school, and I think it was because his mother wouldn't let him play.
That's right. Said the coach stopped by his house every day. Pass is picked off by the Cowboys by Isaiah Reese.
That was a heck of an interception. That was a heck of a catch by Isaiah Reese. That ball was drilled in there, and he was coming up, and he just caught that thing with two hands.
Well, it's not the time to dance. Your team is losing 24-0.
But they needed a momentum changer.
Yes,
they needed
did.
something. I mean, they've been getting whipped every way you could get whipped, and they need something like this. They need, to pick off one. They need to get a fumble. They need to get a big play. They just have to get that first one on the board. And I've always said the first score in a game is always the toughest one for you. I agree with you. You didn't need all that celebration. When you're down 24-0, get in the ball game first, then do some celebrating.
He was down on the ground, but the reason he was down on the ground was because he collided with a teammate.
Right. He wasn't down by contact of an opponent.
Right. That's why he could get up and run. First and 10. Randall Cunningham drops the throw and fires incomplete, intended for Galloway. Bobby Taylor, the defender.
The one thing, Randall Cunningham can't have any timing with these receivers at all, so he's just going to have to rely on his experience. And he's getting pretty good protection, though. I mean, that's the thing that Troy Aikman didn't have. See that ball was tipped before it ever got out there.
By Brian Dawkins.
Now, there's another good player. You talk about underrated players and guys. Brian Dawkins fits into that category. The Eagles have some good players on this squad.
Yes, they do. And quite a few of them. And they're a young team as well. Now there's just miscommunication between the receivers. You were talking about that.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, Randall Cunningham was was throwing an out pattern, and Joey Galloway was running a deep pattern. But Randall Cunningham's not bad at that. I mean, he can play that schoolyard football where he can just tell, you know, Joey Galloway, you go do this and I'll throw it to you. I mean, he can do that type of thing. Or Rocket, you do this.
In his early years, that's what he did. And as you say, he was very good at it. Here comes that blitz. Cunningham gets rid of it, complete to Ishmael, but far short of a first down. And here comes the field goal unit.
And that had to be far short of a first down, because Randall Cunningham got that pressure and those hits that Troy Aikman tasted earlier.
Tim Cedar, a new kicker for the Cowboys. That seems to be a yearly occurrence.
Look at this. It's his first field goal attempt since 1997.
With Ashland University.
Yep. He sent a tape to Steve Hoffman, the kicking coach, and he brought it out a couple years later and brought him in and gave him a try.
And he puts the Cowboys on the scoreboard inside the right upright from 34 yards away.
Dave Campo gets his first score as a head coach.
James Cameron, the director of the Terminator, brings you his new series, Dark Angel. The 2-hour premiere kicks off on Tuesday, October the 3rd, 9/8 Central, here on Fox.
You know, sometimes you could get so worried about the weather, and the weather is tough. I mean, this is as tough a weather as you can have to play in, and both of these teams are playing in the same weather. But sometimes you can get where you're worried about that, or thinking about that, or talking about that so much that you forget the opponent. And as we all know, ultimately and eventually you have to go out there and beat the other guy.
That was always Bud Grant's theory up in Minnesota when they played outdoors. You don't worry about the cold.
Well, that was kind of one of the saying I used to always say, and I think it just covered everything. The last thing I'd say when I was coaching the Raiders before we went out on the field is, don't worry about the horse being blind, just load the wagon.
I've heard you say that.
Yeah, and I think that covers everything.
Where do you take the wagon after you load it?
No, you don't worry about the horse being blind, just load the wagon. In other words, load the wagon, that's playing the game. You don't worry about anything else. You don't worry about the fans. You don't worry about the noise. You don't worry about anything. You just go whip the other team.
Cedar to kick off. And it's going to be Brian Mitchell at the 1. Mitchell to the 30. Broke a tackle at about the 20. And there's a Cowboy lying there. Coming up on the Visa halftime report, JB, Terry, Howie, and Chris will have scores and highlights from around the league. And our Fox Sports ticker will have up to the second stats. That's all coming up on the Visa halftime report.
We talked about time of possession, and some people say it's a meaningless stat. Some people say it's one of the most important. I'm not sure which it is, but on a hot day like this, it does mean something. I mean, this Cowboy defense has been out there way too much in this first half.
That's going to wear him down. And here's Deuce Staley. He'll wear you down. He gets the first down. Wrapped up by George Teague.
Deuce Staley.
Randall Cunningham checking his throwing hand.
Yeah, remember that last play that he was in,
yep.
he got blitzed, and two guys got to him just after he threw the ball. I think his hand was the first thing that hit the ground. And remember, the Cowboys are one of the few teams that only carry 2 quarterbacks, and so if they had to use another quarterback, that guy would be Joey Galloway, their wide receiver.
And he hasn't had a lot of experience recently at quarterback.
In fact, they practiced some plays with him, and he doesn't even have a pass play. I mean, all the plays that he's had were just taking the ball and handing it off.
2 minutes to play in the first half at Texas Stadium. 24-3 Philadelphia.
Park Center.
Well, that's crazy, Ray. He's been around the Cowboys for years and years and years, and he doesn't look like he's, in spite of what he's got on his head, he's not too cool.
You know, this is not, you know, we talk about how tough this is for the players, but this is no day at the beach for some of these fans sitting out in this sun.
Here's Staley across the 45, 47 make it.
Deuce Staley. Tackled by number 96, Ebenezer.
I think Deuce Staley's one of those guys that you just put in there and you don't even worry about. He's a warrior, and if you just look at the things that he's done here today, I mean, and I said from the beginning of the game that he's been a half a step quicker than everyone else out on the field. He's just making everyone miss, and he's done it, you know, running inside, outside, pass catching. He's not going to be denied, is he?
No, he's not. He's one of those guys who enjoys playing. McNabb. Chase. And taken down by Alonzo Spellman. Alonzo put the pressure on.
Well, they're finally, you're starting to get a little pressure, because we remember earlier that they didn't have any pressure at all. And you see again, McNabb, I don't know, that's not really a lot of pressure there. I mean,
no.
Spellman comes in a little later. McNabb looked to the left, and he pumped, and then he brought the ball down. So he's really had pretty good protection.
Timeout, Dallas. And don't forget, coming up on the Visa halftime report, J.B. Terry, Howie, and Chris will have scores and highlights from around the league. And our Fox Sports ticker will have up to the second stats. That's all coming up on the Visa halftime report.
Yeah, you have to go in at halftime. I'm sure Dave Campo is thinking this is you've lost your starting quarterback. You haven't run Emmitt Smith enough. You haven't established anything. And that's what happens that time of possession. You know, you say, well, why didn't they run more to Emmitt? Why didn't they throw it to Joey Galloway? Why didn't they use Jackie Harris? Because they didn't have the ball.
And with the score 21-0, 24-0 finally. How many times are you going to give it to Emmitt? Deuce Staley, the carrier.
Well, they still had plenty of time, and I think that, you know, at halftime when they go in, that's the way they have to look at it. They have to look at it that the score is 0-0 and not come in and press and play uphill.
Look how quickly the Eagles got 21 points and then 24. That can be done on both sides of the ball.
Maybe they'll come out and start with an onside kick.
I doubt it.
Yeah, one of the interesting things that I was just saying is, if we talk to Andy Reid here at halftime, is when he decided to use that onside kick to start the game, because, you know, as a coach, sometimes you'll say, geez, on Thursday it's a good idea, we'll do it. Then on Friday, no, I'm not going to do it. Or Saturday night, you say, I'm going to do it. And you wake up Sunday and you say no. Or you go to the park and you're going to do it. Then 2 minutes before the kickoff, you say, no, it's off, just kick it. But, I mean, to decide to do it and then stay with it is something special. It really is.
Sean Landetta to Galloway. Galloway, of course, has great speed. But the Eagles covered well, and Dallas will take over. As Brian Mitchell down first on the coverage team. Dallas will take over on their own 20.
You know, you say, what kind of offense is this Philadelphia offense? And Andy Reid came from Green Bay, you know, and then he brought that West Coast offense with him. Then when he brought Rod Dowhower in as the offensive coordinator, although Andy Reid calls all the offensive plays, he wanted some of those Washington Redskin plays from, you know, the Joe Gibbs days. Rod Dowhower was an assistant for years with Joe Gibbs. So this offense is kind of a combination of the West Coast plus a little Joe Gibbs or Washington Redskin offense.
And a little Andy Reid. Tacked on. Here's Cunningham back in the pocket. Finds himself some room and throws it upfield, and it's picked off. Carlos Emmons comes up with it for the Eagles, and he's still on his feet. And Emmons gets down. Flag on the play. Emmons got back to about the 30.
Flag down on the play.
Flag is going to be against
number 77 on the offense was illegally downfield. That penalty would be declined. Take the result of the play. First down for Philadelphia.
There was Solomon Page.
Yeah, you wonder, unless that was a screen, how the right guard got downfield. I mean, that usually happens on a screen pass, or he may have thought that Randall Cunningham was going to run. Let's see, Solomon Page is right here. He's the right guard. See him blocking there. And I guess what happened is when Randall Cunningham got to the outside, he looked like he started to go up the field. But it didn't make any difference. It was an interception anyway.
The Eagles have 2 timeouts remaining. They have a chance to add to their lead. McNabb fakes, throws in the corner, incomplete. Intended for Alex Van Dyke.
That was a pretty good throw.
Yes,
I mean, that's something you'd look at it and you'd say from a reading point, you probably shouldn't throw it there because it was into double coverage. But sometimes you're so good that you could throw into double coverage and get that ball in there.
And give that guy a chance to make a play.
And he does. It's right over Felipe Sparks. Felipe Sparks, the old New York Giant corner, just signed this week by the Dallas Cowboys.
2nd and 10. McNabb going for more. Pass is picked off in the middle. That's Joe Bowden who makes the interception for the Cowboys. Cowboys got him from Tennessee in the offseason.
And they thought that he was going to be a starter, and he couldn't beat out anyone. So he's a backup, and he's playing in nickel situations. Here again, he's just making a read.
That's Dat Wynn.
Yeah, Dat Wynn, you see him. You know, Dat Wynn always did play that middle linebacker nickel position, and that time he just backed up and read McNabb all the way.
Good play by Dat Wynn. Bowden's 58, Wynn is 59.
Well, like I said about Dat Wynn, he's starting as a middle linebacker this year. No one could beat him out, but on 2nd and 3rd down, he's really playing the same position that he played last year.
28 seconds left as Cunningham drops the throw and goes deep. For Ishmael, incomplete. The crowd wants interference.
But just in the left-hand side of the screen, this is what you have to do. This is what you have to do after you throw an interception. You know, as a quarterback, you have to attempt to make a tackle.
Once in a while.
McNabb just put his head down, went right into the ground, and I guess you'd chalk that up as an attempt.
I guess.
The fans thought that should have been pass interference, and I think we're going to see less pass interference if there's, one of those no harm, no foul deals this year.
Cunningham tried to throw a slant, very nearly picked off by Damon Moore for the Eagles.
These interceptions are just going back and forth, or almost interceptions just going back and forth. Dave Campo, all his life, has been dreaming to be a head coach, and 30 years in coaching, and this is his first head coaching job, his first game, his first half. And in his dreams, it wasn't 24-3.
Nope. And the dream didn't include that onside kick that got the Eagles off and running. 3rd and 10. Cunningham drops. And Randall. They get a first down to Ishmael.
And I think the dream included picking up those blitzes better than they did.
I think so. The Cowboys, one of the things that they thought was their strong points was the offensive line. But the Eagles have come from all directions. Don't forget to stay with us at the half for the Visa halftime report. JB and Terry and Howie and Chris will have all the up-to-second stats and scores.
One thing about Randall Cunningham, when he came back, remember he retired, he was out of football, and then came back to the Minnesota Vikings. He came back a lot calmer guy, and and you just watch him play. I mean, he hasn't practiced, he hasn't done anything, he's not sure of the offense, he may not even know all the players yet, but he is maintaining his calmness.
1st and 10 with 10 seconds left. Cunningham lofts it down to Galloway. tumbles out of bounds and stops the clock with 4 seconds left. They'll have another shot.
Well, they get a shot at a field goal here is what they'll do. Here's Joey Galloway on one of those cover 2 things where you get by the corner, then you're going to run that pattern in between the corner who rotated up and the safety who's coming over. Randall Cunningham has seen that cover 2 all of his life, and he knew exactly where to put that ball.
Tim Cedar has hit from 34 yards out. He's good again. And at the half, it's 24-0. And you have to just be shocked at this score, as I'm sure the Cowboys were with the way Andy Reid had this game begin for himself.
Well, Andy Reid had his club much more ready to play right from the get-go than the Dallas Cowboys, and Dave Campo had his team ready.
So they'll head for the locker room with the Eagles leading 24-6.
I mean, the Eagles came out right from the get-go in every area. I mean, going after Troy Aikman on defense, running the ball with Deuce Staley on offense, the onside kick, they really did it.
Let's go down to DJ Johnson.
All right, we're here with Coach Andy Reid. Coach, you started off the game with the onside kick, which you recovered. Now, is that something you thought of this morning, or was that game plan for weeks?
No, that was game plan. We had that picked out for the last week or so.
Now, your trainers have been giving a lot of the guys pickle juice to prevent cramping and dehydration. Something you believe in?
Yeah, well, I do, because it works, so we're okay with it.
Had any yourself?
I haven't. I'm not playing, though, DJ.
All right, thanks a lot, Coach. Back up to you, Pat.
All right, DJ, that's the end of the first half with the score: the Eagles 24, the Cowboys 6. Fox NFL Sunday will continue from Dallas after these messages and a word from your local Fox station. We're back at Texas Stadium, and although it doesn't perhaps look like it, earlier today it was over 180 degrees down on the playing surface. It probably has cooled off a little bit, but it's still very hot.
But if it's 180 degrees and if it cools off a little bit, it can still be like 152.
Yeah. I don't know if you've ever experienced any kind of heat like that, but I was down on the field before the game, and when you walk from the shade into the sunlight, it's like a wall of heat just hits you in the face.
Yeah, I saw you go down there, and I saw you down there, and I still wondered, why'd you do it?
Well, I wanted to see what it felt like.
What did it feel like?
I don't want to feel that again. I came back in a hurry. Brian Mitchell downs it in the end zone. Let's look at some first half statistics.
1st and 10 Philadelphia from their 20.
You can see the Eagles outrushed them, and that was what they wanted to do.
That's Deuce Staley.
And then the passing yards. Look at the Cowboys. They only had 8 yards passing, and of course they wanted to aggressively go after Troy Aikman, and they did that. First downs, 14-4. Then this one here is big. I mean, his time of possession, 20 minutes to 10. So that means that the Cowboy defense was out on the field for 20 minutes, and it's going to take its toll. I mean, it won't take its toll right now, but it's going to take its toll again in the 4th quarter.
Here's Deuce Staley, who had an outstanding first half.
Deuce Staley. Tackled by
That's a good idea.
Yeah,
Hey,
that's
a little paddle upstream.
Yeah, have to do that. Here was how the Eagles started. I mean, they started aggressively, onside kick. Then they go play pass down there, hit Thomason, and then defensively, we see what they did. We know that they were going to aggressively go after Troy Aikman and take him to the ground. They did that. So it was special teams, it was offense and defense, and that was a very, very complete first half for the Eagles.
And this is a Philadelphia timeout, and they accomplished their purpose. They took Aikman, in fact, right out of the game.
Yeah, and they just didn't let him get started. And it was interesting yesterday when we were talking to the Cowboys and to Dave Campo that it was important to them that Troy Aikman get off to a good start. I mean, Chan Gailey, they fired Chan Gailey in the offseason, changed his offense, went back to the offense of Ernie Zampese. Jack Riley's a coordinator now, and they thought he'd feel more comfortable with that, Troy Aikman would. And so this was the first trial of that, and they wanted him to get off to a good start and get off to a solid start, and they never did. Never did.
He wound up being taken to the locker room with a concussion. And he's had 6 before. So he's not going to be back today, I'm sure of that.
No, and then you wonder when he is going to be back, if he is going to be back.
Right. Here comes the Cowboy blitz as Staley makes the catch from Donovan McNabb. Dexter Coakley out to make the stop.
You know, at some point you get with those concussions that you just can't play anymore.
Right.
That's what, you know, happened to Steve Young, because Steve Young, is, as far as a player, could still play, but the concussion situation, he couldn't play anymore.
Staley's move made Coakley slip down. He got back up and made the stop.
And that's one of the things.
Here's Deuce Staley again.
That's one of the things you get with moving your back around. You know, you put him out, and if they're covered by a corner, then that means that you're going to have someone other than a corner on your receivers. If he's covered by a linebacker, then you have him out in space in a mismatch.
That was Wade Wilson, the longtime Viking and other team quarterbacks, talking with Randall Cunningham. 2nd and 7 coming up. 24-6. Philadelphia leads it. Opening seconds of the 3rd quarter.
Here's another empty backfield.
McNabb, and he can run. He can beat you throwing it and running with it.
See, that's why he's so good in that empty backfield. And this is something that the Eagles really were surprising the Cowboys with, because they didn't do this at all in the preseason. But you can see here, when you have no one in here, now if he finds a hole and those 5 receivers run the linebackers and defensive backs out, all he has to do is get through that first hole. I mean, Darren Hambrick was there on the rush, and he should have made the sack right there. But if you give him that hole, he's going to pick up yards. I mean, he's going to get there and get first downs, and that when they're spread out like that.
Leon Lett gets a rest.
McNabb's already carried the ball 4 times for 26 yards, but he created this short yardage situation.
For Deuce Staley, and Staley gets the first down, gets up close to the 45-yard line.
Deuce Staley.
You know, McNabb, you know, a couple plays ago, he said he couldn't hear.
Yeah.
Now watch what happens here. He's going to come and change helmets. See, because he has that receiver in his helmet, and the one that he was wearing didn't work. So he changed helmets and then got the good play.
That's how the plays get into him from the sideline.
Right, you know, that last play, they just ran right at Alonzo Spellman, and he penetrated so much. He was coming on a pass rush. I don't know why, on 3rd and short, and he penetrated so much he just ran right by the ball carrier.
Here's Staley again, taken down as he crosses the 45.
McNabb is there, and he's signaling the guys to hurry up and get the play in quickly. You can see he's standing there waiting for the play, and he doesn't wait too long because he wants to get in the huddle, call the play, and get up to the line of scrimmage.
Staley lost a shoe, and Brian Mitchell takes his place. 2nd and 8. Greg Ellis made that last stop. Mitchell, midfield and into Dallas territory. Not enough for a first.
You know, Mitchell's pretty good for this team. I mean, you know, we know that he can return kicks and those types of things. But when you have Deuce Staley, and then you have to give Staley a little rest, and you bring in a Brian Mitchell, that's not bad.
That's right.
That energy level is kept up because both of these guys are high energy guys.
Leon Lett comes into the Dallas defense, as does Felipe Sparks. Sparks is number 20. McNabb gets the ball into Luther Broughton for the completion and the Eagle first down.
See, that's one of the things that they're able to do. We talked about empty backfield. We talked about splitting the running backs out, but they also do it with tight ends. And that time they take Luther Broughton, their tight end, and they split him out like a wide receiver, try and get a mismatch and just hit him on a slant.
That's Dexter Coakley, one of the Cowboys linebackers who's down and out of breath or dehydrated or injured. 24-6 Philadelphia. I'm not really sure you need a fire to cook today.
No, you didn't, but those are indoors. Had they been outdoors, there were people out here in the parking lot cooking without fire today.
Dexter Coakley had the wind knocked out of him, getting a rest. Deuce Staley in the backfield, and the handoff is to Deuce. Let's again go down to D.J. Johnson.
Well, we told you about the heat in the first half. It did take its toll on some of the players. 2 players from the Cowboys and 2 players from the Eagles had IVs at halftime to replace their fluids and hopefully help them prevent dehydration and cramping in the second half. Back up to you, Pat and John.
We were out at practice yesterday. Thank you, DJ. We were talking to Jerry Jones, the owner of the Cowboys, and he said they wanted to make sure their training staff, medical staff, make sure that each player drank as much as 3 gallons of water during the course of the game. That's a lot of water. Pass caught.
See, now they got him, and the Cowboy defense just can't rush at all. I mean, they're just standing on the line of scrimmage, and the Eagles are going with an empty backfield, so they have 5 receivers out here spread all over the field. They're just looking for that open guy in the mismatch, and Donovan McNabb is just hitting them. Look at the time that he has. I mean, there's no one around him. On that time on that pass rush, hardly anyone got off the line of scrimmage. Watch this. I mean, it just gets, see the separation he gets. Look, there's no one near him, no one chasing him, no threat at all. It's like throwing skeleton.
Now they're blitzing out in the direction of Staley. The blitz worked. As that wind came up the middle, and now he stays down.
Mike Zimmer, the defensive coordinator of the Cowboys, was probably saying enough of that. If we can't get there with the 4, let's blitz them.
That wind coming up the middle.
Yep, you can see it right here. You see that he just gets in there and no one blocks him at all. That's what you try and do. I mean, you try and get one guy going inside, one guy going outside, and then no one to block you, just going right at the quarterback.
That looks like cramps. There has been precious little to cheer about today. If you're in one of those uniforms, Dat Nguyen headed for the locker room.
Now, I bet that's one of those things where, as you said, he had cramps, and he's probably going in to get one of those IVs.
2nd and 10. Here comes the blitz again. And it works again. Deuce Staley was the ball carrier, stopped by Coakley, who was out of breath a few minutes ago, but back now.
Well, it's interesting that the Eagles have had the ball for like 27 minutes to the Cowboys 10 minutes. So that means that this offense, I mean, this match we're seeing right now, the Eagle offense and the Cowboy defense, has been out there 27 and 10. So the Eagle offense is going to run down a little themselves, and you can just see that the Cowboy defense has really worn down.
The Cowboys haven't had the ball this half. McNabb to Pinkston, complete.
That's a heck of a throw. McNabb has made a couple of great slant throws. He hit that one out here to Broughton on the right side, and then he hits that one to Pinkston right here. But here's Pinkston. He's the outside receiver. He's going to come in and run that slant, and McNabb has it right there for him. You would like it a little lower. You wouldn't like to stretch your receiver out like that. But through all that, it was short of the first down, and they're going to go for the field goal.
Akers' first was good from 33 yards today. This one's from 37. And this one's good. And the Eagles keep the ball for the second half, the entire quarter, and lead 27-6. Next week, it's the Fox NFL Sunday doubleheader, beginning with Terry, Howie, JB, and Chris on America's favorite pregame show. Then Michael Strahan and the Giants take on these Eagles, followed by the Rams' battle against the Seahawks, plus other regional matchups. And we want to call special attention to those of you in Denver who, for the first time, will get a bonus early game prior to the Falcons-Broncos matchup. So be sure to make it a full day of football action right here on Fox, starting at noon Eastern. Jason Tucker.
Jason Tucker on the return.
Randall Cunningham will quarterback the Cowboys when we come back. Stay cool.
Now that would be fun. That would be fun.
We're going to have to get a bigger inner tube or whatever that is.
Oh, no, eventually if it's wet and downhill, you'll go.
That's true. Cunningham to Emmitt Smith, tackled right at the line of scrimmage. In the event you might have joined us late, Troy Aikman took a beating from the Eagle defense. That's the last hit that he took, and he headed for the locker room with another concussion.
Well, you know, before that, you could see him checking him on the sidelines, and, you know, looking with a flashlight in his eyes, and you know, giving all those tests, and you see him trying to, you know, get it out of there, and it just didn't come out. I mean, he just couldn't get clear-headed again. And
Randall Cunningham takes over. This is Emmitt Smith. Emmitt breaks one tackle and scampers up to about the 38. A couple yards short of the first down. 5:42 left in the third. The Eagles leading 27-6.
You're going to see something on that last play that I don't remember seeing in a couple years. Larry Allen pulling, who I've always said is one of the best offensive linemen in all football, and missing. I mean, usually when Larry Allen pulls, he is one of the best pullers. Now watch him come out here, and right there, he just throws an air ball. And you're not going to see that in Larry Allen, but I think that is one of those days for the Dallas Cowboys.
Well, the regulars didn't play a lot in the preseason. They lost all 5 games, and
it sure looks like they haven't played a lot. I mean, they're not on the same page. They haven't been able to get anything going offensively or defensively.
Delay a game. Offense, 5-yard penalty, remains third down.
And I'm not talking about this. I mean, this is Randall Cunningham, the backup quarterback, and who's had little or no work. But I'm talking about even before that. I mean, they looked like the Eagles came out, and the Eagles were just too quick. I mean, in just every area, they beat them by that step.
And it started off again. I hate to be redundant, but it started off with an onside kick, which took a lot of courage on Andy Reid's part. Cunningham, incomplete intended.
You know what the interesting thing about that, Pat, was that when DJ asked him about it at halftime, he said that they decided to do that a week ago.
Yeah.
Now, that's not as interesting as the fact that you decided to do it a week ago and didn't change your mind.
Didn't change your mind, is right.
That's a big thing. I mean, I know when I was a coach, I decided to do a lot of things the week before. Changed my mind before I got to the game.
The last pass was intended for James McKnight, who had a good preseason. This is Micah Knorr. Back to punt. Mitchell at the 22 is taken down at about the 28. And that's where the Eagles will start from, with 4:44 left in the third quarter, and Philadelphia leading Dallas 27-6. The man in the hat, Tom Landry, who coached the Dallas Cowboys for 29 years. Tom passed away in the offseason last spring. All the players, you'll notice, have that famous fedora that Landry made famous himself on their jersey.
You know, and it's fitting, you know, that, I mean, there should be tributes. I think that we need more of our history. I mean, this is the, you know, the 40th year of the Dallas Cowboys, and Tom Landry was so special. I mean, not only as a coach, but probably even as a man was bigger than as a coach. And I think we ought to honor our history more than we do in this game.
Absolutely. And certainly he would be one of the most honored, and should be. That's Deuce Staley flashing to the outside.
Deuce Staley, tackled by George.
The word we just received is that Troy Aikman has gone to the hospital. He got dressed and he went to the hospital for observation.
And I think when you have a history like Troy Aikman of concussions, we talked about that. He's had 6. This would be his 7th. You take every precautionary measure or means that there is.
Here's Deuce Staley again. And Staley is off to the races unless somebody runs him down, and here comes Darren Woodson to catch him. And Staley has to be exhausted. I mean, the heat hasn't bothered him seemingly at all.
Yeah, but that's the fun exhausted. I mean, I mean, there's 2 ends of a whipping. You know, the doing the whipping and the getting whipped. And when you're doing the whipping, you just get behind Big John Runyon. Look at the size of that guy. I mean, he just takes a guy and just wipes him right out of the screen. And Deuce Staley knows that. If you're going to get behind someone, get behind a big old guy like John Runyon.
He just wiped out Dexter Coakley.
He disappeared. He knocked him right off your television screen.
He did.
I can see a couple all Madden guys here on this Eagle team already. We just mentioned 2 of them.
I thought so. You mean Staley and Runyon?
Yep, Deuce Staley and John Runyon. Deuce Staley was last year. Remember, we had him because he's something special. Look at him, 28 for 200 yards, and that's both, total yards. That's both catching and running. The Cowboys, 29 for 73 yards. So Deuce Staley is kind of a one-man gang today against the Cowboys, isn't it?
Certainly more than a deuce.
But but you could see it coming. I mean, didn't you feel that way last night talking with him and some of the Eagle players that he was going to have that kind of day?
McNabb fires to Alex Van Dyke this time.
Complete to number 86, Alex Van Dyke.
I think that the Eagles are putting together a team the way they should. I mean, they bring in a young coach in Andy Reid who is going to be here for a long time. There's going to be a good coach, and then they start building a team. You build your offensive line. You get your good running back. You have a young quarterback that once he gets to know what you're doing will be there for a long time. You have a good defensive coordinator who brings in an aggressive defense.
That's Mitchell. He gets down close to another Eagle first down.
Brian Mitchell.
And then you pick up someone like Brian Mitchell. You talk about talkers. Brian Mitchell always has been a talker, but he's always backed it up. I mean, he's a tough guy. Not only as a runner, a punt returner, a kick returner, and also a cover guy. And our umpire just stood there. I wonder what that would look like with the umpire cam.
It would look like he...
I think we have a camera on his hat. Yeah.
2nd and 1. Mitchell again. And he breaks through into the secondary, picks up enough yardage for a first down. And this Dallas defense is just worn down.
But you know that it was just going to be a point, and they're going to get to him. Now here's the umpire cam. Here's what it looks like right here. You see the hole coming. This is what you have to hit. You take on a blocker. That's pretty good. And then you just run, and you just any good running back always has his head up so he has vision, and always runs behind his shoulder pads and always keeps his feet moving.
Well, he did all those things then. Staley is back. McNabb to Deuce Staley. Staley to the 5, looking for more room.
Deuce Staley ought to get like 3 post-game meals. They have meals going back in the airplane.
At least something to drink.
Yeah, he probably won't be hungry at all. And I'll guarantee you he's going to be sore tomorrow because, as he said, they say that the turf in Philadelphia is so bad. He says all artificial turf is bad.
And this is turf.
Yeah, and if you play on artificial turf and you're a running back, we're not talking about just getting injured. We're talking about it's an added day the next week before you're better.
Every time you get hit, there's another time added to it when you bounce off the turf. They left the ball on the ground, but the Eagles fall on it. The referee said he was down anyway. Cecil Martin was the guy who made the catch. Andy Reid.
Andy Reid is one of those head coaches who also calls his own plays. He has an offensive coordinator in Rod Dowhauer, but he calls his own play like Mike Holmgren does and Mike Shanahan did and those guys.
And that's the end of the third quarter with the score: the Eagles 27, the Cowboys 6. Fox NFL Sunday from Dallas will continue after a word from your local Fox station. Pat Summerall, John Madden, as we get ready to start the fourth quarter at Texas Stadium with the Eagles. Very impressive, leading 27-6.
You know, and Deuce Staley's rushed for 141 yards, and that's his career high. So when he gains another yard today, that will be his career high.
Third and goal. McNabb drops, and McNabb takes it in himself. Slam dunks it over the goalpost.
See, that's what McNabb could do. I mean, he's not only a good run, he just knocked one of his own guys down. You should see that. Yep. In fact, the ball's going up in the air. Watch it from the umpire cam here. This is what it looks like if you're rushing, and then you see that hole. Now, McNabb makes a little move there, then another move, then he just put his head down and got behind his shoulders and used his power. And then he goes up and he dunks the basketball. I mean, dunks the basketball.
Well, you're right.
Dunks the football. And then he ran into one of his own guys who come to chest bump him, and he knocked him down.
Well, he played basketball at Syracuse and in high school in Chicago.
I think he just wanted to show on one play his athletic ability, where you can make something out of nothing. You can use some power by getting down low. You can jump by getting over the goalpost, and then you can hit your own guy. But see, this is all athletic here. Here's the jump. That's pretty good right over there.
That's 10 feet up there.
And then you come back and you get your balance, and then you start your celebration. Watch this. Here comes Deuce Staley's going to come and give him a thing. Old Deuce goes right on his back.
He might be the only one that's knocked Staley down today.
Yeah, he decleated old Deucer.
Akers for the extra point. And it's good.
That's one pretty good play from McNabb.
Yeah.
He showed a lot of things, didn't he?
The Eagles leading 34-6. That looks like fun.
For who?
I haven't tried it. But
no. You know what I did try, though? Seriously, is one of those scooters.
You did?
You know, one of those. I got one, yeah, and I ride it. I mean, one thing, you know, like you never forget how to ride a bike or how to swim. You never forget how to scoot on a scooter.
What is it, one of those razors?
Razors, yeah. You can fold it up and it holds up to 400 pounds.
Well, that's good.
And I watch this. This is great. Here goes Donovan McNabb. He gets up there, gets over, and now you say, why is he celebrating so much? That's his first rushing NFL TD. Watch him when he hits Staley here. This is something here. Here comes Deuce. Deuce is all ready to get the big celebration. Deuce comes in. Hey, I love you. Great move. Whop! Right on his back. His head down. And that's probably, you say, the hardest hit he's had all day. He's trying to get some of that water.
Deuce looks happy. Winning should be.
Yeah, winning is a great deodorant, isn't it fun? Isn't it fun when you're winning?
That's another item they're going to need for the trip home. A little deodorant.
You know, his two worst hits were from the bench. Remember when Deuce Staley ran into the bench, and then from his quarterback, McNabb hitting him. Two toughest hits he had today.
Hugh Douglas has been outstanding today for Philadelphia.
Hugh Douglas started off with that pace, you know, by coming, and he got a sack early on Troy Aikman, and remember the first 4 times Troy Aikman went back to pass, I think they sacked him 3 times, and Hugh Douglas was one of those guys. The Eagles are using a 3-man line now, but that's just the camouflage blitzes.
Shuttle pass to Chris Warren. Warren gets out to the 20.
Pass complete to number 42, Chris Warren.
Way shy of first down yardage. 34-6. The Eagles leading in the home opener for the Cowboys at Texas Stadium.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting division. You know, the way they play preseason now is you can't tell because no one plays anyone, and they're all afraid to get hurt, and they take their players out, and so the first indicator you really have is in his first regular season game.
Cunningham firing deep for Galloway. Incomplete. over his head.
Pass intended for number 84,
Troy
Galloway.
Benson
Incomplete.
stride for stride with Galloway.
4th down.
It's going to be interesting talking about preseason. We had a little informal poll on the internet as to whether they should have no preseason games, 2 preseason games, or 4 preseason games. And I think that that's something that has to be addressed. This is how it came out. No games, only 11%. 2 games, 49%, and 4 games, 40%.
Well, the coaches and the owners will tell you we need 4.
Yeah, but I think they're going to have to address it because it's gotten so bad. I mean, they're going to have to do something about it, and I think they're all ready to admit it now.
This is Mitchell. Stumbles through one group and finally is ganged around by the Cowboys, brought down. The Eagles will take over. They lead it 34-6. Temperature has dropped down to 100. That's in the shade. Obviously, the whole playing field is it's more than 100 where those guys are.
You know, and it's something that the Cowboys are always going to remember this game. You know, how hot it was here and what a beating they took. And the Eagles will remember this is the hottest day they ever played, but it didn't bother them at all.
And what a good start they got off to. He'll remember it. Alonzo Spellman and those defensive linemen.
Yeah, they didn't do much today. They didn't put much pressure on Donovan McNabb.
Oh, and there goes Deuce Staley. Foot race. Chased by Larimore. Staley gets inside the 5. Ryan McNeil finally takes him down inside the 10-yard line at about the 7.
I don't know what they paid Deuce Staley, but it's not enough for today. And I would say whatever they pay him, he's earned it today. And I think I would take him out. And I don't think they have to find out any more from Deuce Staley today. I think he did his job. And I think, look at that, he's rushed for 196 yards, 61 receiving yards. His total 257 yards and a touchdown. This guy is a player. This guy is a player.
If I were aware of that.
Look at it. He's bright-eyed. He got a bounce in his walk. He's something.
Mitchell, touchdown. I might leave Deuce. I might give him a chance to get 200 yards.
No, I wouldn't, you know, because it would suddenly be hard to live with yourself if, in trying to get him 200 yards, he got hurt.
Yeah,
then,
I guess you're right.
You know, something like that. I think I would just tell him, take off your jersey and your shoulder pads and put on a baseball hat.
Mitchell scores a touchdown.
Brian Mitchell was trying to get the ball and they wouldn't give him one, so he got one from the sideline guy, and he's going to say that's the ball I scored with.
Akers hits the extra point and adds to the insult, to the beating that the Eagles have laid on the Cowboys. 41-6. Philadelphia over Dallas. The Eagles have been well coached, very impressive, well prepared. Everything worked. A couple of great individual performances, one by Staley. McNabb looks steady. Flag on the play, and they'll bring it back out.
It's a kickoff out of bounds by rule. It will belong to the receiving team 30 yards from where the ball was kicked. First down.
Yeah, you said that Deuce Staley ought to get 200. He did have 200 yards. He got so many yards today, and counting it up, we just got the numbers wrong. I mean, you know, like just math, you had 3, and then you had 7, then you had 4, then you had 9, then you and now it's 201 yards. So Deuce Staley did gain over 200 yards today.
First and 10.
The Eagle record, by the way, is 205 yards, set in 1949 by Steve Van Buren. Deuce Staley just passed Wilbert Montgomery for second place.
So in other words, would you put him back in to beat Van Buren's record?
If he wanted to go back in, I would.
But I don't even know that they know it.
Right now, for an update, let's return to James Brown in Los Angeles.
Hey, Pat and John, last year's NFL rushing touchdown leader, Stephen Davis, picking up where he left off, a touchdown today with 133 yards on the ground. Washington victorious, and it looks like it'll be Washington, New York, and Philly at 1-0 in the East. Back to Pat and John.
It certainly does look that way, JB. I don't think the Cowboys are going to come back in this one. Here's Cunningham, the forward handoff to Chris Warren. And nothing doing. Flag on the play.
Flags down on the play.
Have we given enough credit to the Eagle defense? They've been outstanding.
Well, I think so. The Eagle defense is really about scheme. You know, and the players have to play the scheme well, but I mean, it's about overloads and blitzing and bringing safeties and corners and linebackers and penetration and all those things, and the Eagle defense has really done it well. See, now Deuce Staley isn't going to go after Steve Van Buren's record. I said I'd just take his shirt off, but he already took his shirt tail out, so that's the equivalent.
Got the baseball cap on. You said you do that.
Yeah. I'd take the jersey off and the shoulder pads off, and
I bet you he doesn't know.
Offsides, number 51, defense has a 5-yard penalty. This makes a first down.
And he probably doesn't care. I mean, when it's 41-6, and you just go up and you talk to big old John Runyon. Remember that one play where, in fact, they're probably talking about that, where Runyon was leading them and made a block, and Dexter Coakley.
Well, they put that trap play in there for that purpose.
Oh, yeah, he got Leon Lett. Yeah, you could be talking about that one, too. That special trap play where they tackle trap Leon Lett.
1st and 10. Here's Cunningham back to throw, and they swarm on Randall. And he's down. A flag on the play.
They're going to say that he's down back there, but they didn't blow the whistle.
No, they didn't.
If they want the players to stop, somewhere you have to blow the whistle. They're pointing and saying that he was down there.
Runner is ruled down by contact. Holding, number 77.
Holding against Solomon Page. Today's game is being produced by Bob Stinner, directed by Sandy Grossman. The associate director is Mike Roig. Broadcast associates are Charles McDonald and Wayne Wilson. Technical producer Bob Muller. Pre-game show was produced by Scott Ackerson, directed by Bob Levy. The senior producer is Bill Brown. The executive producers of Fox Sports are Ed Gorin and David Hill. 2nd and 15. To Chris Warren.
Chris Warren, stopped by
the guys, you know, with us up here in the booth, our booth is open, and as hot as it is down on the field and for the crowd in the stands, our guys have done a good job keeping us cool.
Yeah, they did. I mean, we have things up here. We have fans and coolers and all that thing, and it's worked.
Yeah, it really had been uncomfortable. 3rd and 11.
And sometimes you don't realize how hot it is down there because it's not up here.
Cunningham caught by Ishmael. And let's again go down to DJ Johnson.
And we told you before the game about the Eagles' secret ingredient, pickle juice. Now, we heard that Donovan McNabb did not take it, but Deuce Staley did take it, thus 201 yards. So I think around the league, this may be the new secret formula. And Pat and John, this might be a pickle juice thing for you guys, too.
Can we travel with it, I wonder? The end zone for Galloway, incomplete. Flag on the play.
Well, Hugh Douglas left his hat right there in the line of scrimmage and then continued to go without his hat.
Well, you're heading from here home to California and into Seattle for next week.
Yeah, right.
Is pickle juice going with you?
No, I don't allow pickle juice. And I probably do. I have some pickle juice there.
I thought you did.
Yeah, no, I do. I have some old pickles.
Illegal hands to the face, number 76. Offense. That's a 10-yard penalty. First down.
That's why Hugh Douglas didn't have his helmet on. You're going to see Flozell Adams right there with his left hand. He didn't knock it off. He just pulled it off.
He ripped
it
off.
He just put his hands up there and just pulled his hat right off his head. But Hugh Douglas, he just kept going, though. He left his hat there and just kept going after Randall Cunningham.
Cunningham back. Garrity
You know, someone gave me some pickles. I never even thought about pickles, but someone gave me some pickles like 5 years ago. And I've had them in my refrigerator for 5 years. And I've not only
Let me know how it works.
I never drank the juice, but I never ate the pickles.
5 years ago?
I've had pickles. Yeah, I've been packing pickles for 5 years. I really have. And I've never eaten a pickle or drink the juice. I may, you know, going across Texas tonight, I may drink some pickles.
I always heard you crave pickle juice when you were expecting a child. The women craved it.
Well, that's why for 5 years that thing has just sat untouched in my refrigerator. You know, the thing is they can talk about the, you know, handling the heat, the pickle juice, and the IVs and all this stuff, but the Philadelphia Eagles today did it with players. They did it with players. They did it with coaching. I mean, they just went out there and they just whipped the Dallas Cowboys in every area that they play.
Yeah, they were just flatly more ready to play than Dallas was.
Yeah, and right from the get-go. I mean, they were a step faster, a step quicker than Dallas in every area.
You think that maybe the Cowboys thought that because of the heat and the fact that we trained up in Wichita Falls, where the heat's been over 100 for weeks on end, that we got the advantage?
I think, you know, probably, you know, they think that they did have the advantage, but I don't think that they're as good a team as they thought they were. I think that's the bigger thing.
At the end of the play, it's a personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 79. This penalty will be enforced from the end of the play where the runner went out of bounds, 15 yards, and the down will count, 3rd down.
That's just when you meet heat with frustration.
Yep.
And that's a mixture that usually ends up in something like this and at the end of a game like this.
You know, the Cowboys were saying to us when we were out talking with them yesterday that, hey, we got done what we wanted to do. We got through training camp. We got nobody hurt. We got all of our regulars ready. Everybody's ready to start now, but maybe they're not ready to play now.
And that's the thing. And you have to get ready to play, and you just can't put them in, you know, in jars and hope that they don't get hurt and then they come out and play.
Cunningham to Galloway inside the Eagle 15.
And, you know, you say, well, why didn't they do that all day? And remember, the Eagles didn't let them do that all day. The Eagles, you know, knew that they have Joey Galloway outside. They have speed. They have Rocket Ismail, but they just didn't let the quarterback, you know, I mean, specifically, you know, we're talking about Troy Aikman.
Yeah.
They just didn't give him any time to let him set and throw the ball.
This guy here, Randall Cunningham, has always been able to wing it. I mean, he's got an arm and he can throw it as far as anybody who ever played.
And he can throw it to deep guys too.
Yeah.
Remember what he did to Randy Moss?
Yeah,
Randy
sure.
Moss would always say, I'll just run deep as fast as I can and you just chunk it as far as you can. And they made a lot of touchdowns running fast and chunking it.
He took that year off from football and decided he was in the tile business in Las Vegas and working long hours, physical labor. He decided maybe this is not what I want to do. Cunningham broken up by the Eagle.
You know, his arm isn't right, though. I mean,
No.
you can just see the way that he's throwing. That's not Randall coming.
Well, he's not straightening the arm out.
Yeah.
He's not straightening it all the way out.
So that's a tough thing. I mean, when Troy Aikman went out and Randall Cunningham was the backup, he just had to play. See, that was to Chris Warren. There was no chance of that one, and maybe he just threw it away anyway.
Troy Vincent back playing the solid Eagle defense. 3rd and 10.
Troy Vincent and Bobby Taylor, the two corners, have done very well today on the wide receivers of the Cowboys.
There's Cunningham. Up the middle to Galloway, about the 1. Clock shows less than 8 minutes to play now. The Eagles leading 41-6. And for the first time today, the Cowboys get close.
See, they're bringing in their tight ends here. This is a goal line offense, so they're going to run this thing in or play pass it. Remember, the Eagles first down, they got into a 3 tight end situation. what happened is the Cowboys got their goal line offense in, and the Eagles didn't get their goal line defense in, so they had to take a timeout.
They have only one left. The Cowboys have all of their timeouts remaining.
I think at 41-6, it's all academic.
Don't forget, next week it's Fox. It's a Fox NFL Sunday doubleheader beginning with Terry, Howie, JB, and Chris on America's favorite pregame show. Then Michael Strahan and the Giants take on the Eagles, followed by the Rams and their battle against the Seahawks will real be, plus other regional matchups. We want to call special attention one more time to those of you in Denver who for the first time will get a bonus early game prior to the Falcons-Broncos matchup, so be sure to make it a full day of football here on Fox. Starting at noon Eastern Time, 9 Pacific next Sunday. The new blackout rule, that's why you'll get a game in Denver before the Broncos and Falcons play. The handoff is to Chris Warren, who stopped behind the line of scrimmage.
That's the thing that you can't have down there is penetration, and Hollis Thomas got the penetration.
Yeah.
And he got into backfield about 3 yards before Chris Warren ever had a chance to get it started.
So they lose yardage.
Watch Hollis Thomas right here, number 78. You see they start to block down, and he just hits that gap and just keeps going and gaining ground as he goes.
He got underneath Stepnoski. Chris Warren went to the sideline. Galloway, touchdown. I couldn't tell if he had it for a second.
He had it. He got a good block from Emmitt Smith too. Watch, Emmitt Smith is right there in the blitz, and he picks it up. And that's a heck of a throw. I mean, he led Joey Galloway where either Joey Galloway was going to catch it or was going to be incomplete. Watch Emmitt Smith. He picks up that block, and that was the thing that they weren't doing earlier. They weren't picking up the blitzes, and the quarterback was throwing, looking at his ear hole.
The ball never did hit the ground. Galloway did make the catch for a touchdown. They're going for 2. Cunningham drops. Throws. 2 points to Ishmael. It's 41-14. 6:45 left to play as the Cowboys finally score a touch.
This side.
Micah Knorr to kick it, left-footed. Out of bounds.
Kick out of bounds. Flags on the play.
And the Eagles can take it right there.
I think they get to kick it one more time.
Do they?
Yeah. I think they penalize them once, and then if it's a second time, they get to take it there. If it's a regular kick and it goes longer, that comes out to the 40.
You're right.
An onside kick, I think they let them have 2 chances at it.
I thought they had changed that.
Have an onside kick, went out of bounds, less than 20 yards, last touch by the kicking team. By rule, we will have a 5-yard penalty and re-kick.
They will re-kick.
Right, they re-kick it now, and that's a little advantage they give to a kicking team to onside kick. Now, if he kicks the second one out of bounds, then they get the ball there. So you get kind of one free one. And so I imagine he's going to try the same type of thing.
Sure he is.
Goes back, and you see they got the guys here, and he's going to kick it over here, and they all run down there, and some of them block, and then some of them try and recover. These are exciting plays with a meaningful score, but with 41-14, they're not quite as exciting.
That's right. It was exciting the first time it happened today on the opening kickoff. Out of bounds again, and now.
Last touch by the receiving team.
Ball knocked out of bounds at the Cowboys 37-yard line.
That'll be the Eagles' ball.
Eagles' ball, and they'll take it right there.
And I would imagine with the situation and the score that they're just going to want to.
Onside kick was last touch by the receiving team. where it went out of bounds. It's the receiving team's ball, first down.
And I would imagine that they're just going to want to run the clock out.
Coy Detmer is the quarterback.
Coy Detmer, a local Texas guy, says he has some people coming here to the game just to watch him hold.
Here comes the reverse to Charles Johnson. Right now, for a game break, let's go back to James Brown in Los Angeles.
Hey, Pat, a new facet that is added to the vaunted Vikings offense as a quarterback and a tight end's body. Dante Culpepper, 3 rushing touchdowns, most ever by a Vikings quarterback. Hey, Pat, good day for young quarterbacks, Culpepper, McNown, and of course in your game, McNabb as well. Back to Pat and John.
And McNabb and Deuce Staley both outstanding today. McNabb threw for 1, scored 1. Number 1 draft choice of the Eagles a year ago from Syracuse.
The one he scored, he did everything. He dunked the football, and then he knocked Deuce Staley down.
Mitchell.
The whole thing, he showed what kind of athlete he was. This is how he got him started. Remember that play pass he threw for a touchdown? Throws that slam. And see, the thing that he can do so well is throw, and then move and throw, and then just plain move and run with power.
And jump.
That's not bad. We have to have the thing. Oh, no, we don't either. I was going to say we have to have the thing here where he knocks down Deuce Staley.
Yeah.
That's the period at the end of the sentence.
41-14. Mitchell, the deep back. He gets the carry again. Brian Mitchell. Whoa. The official went down.
I think that's the umpire, too. Our camera had to go down. I wonder what that looked like from there. When of a guy going down. Here it is. See, he's hanging in there. You hang in there. You hang in there. And then there's a hit, and then you have to get in there.
And all of a sudden, you're looking up at the hole in the roof.
Yeah, we'll see. He saw the fight.
Yeah.
He was there for the end of the play, and then a fight broke out. So he had to go. So he ended up with his head, which was really, on a swivel, upside down.
Here's Stanley Pritchett, not Mitchell. Pritchett down inside the 5 for another game break. Let's send you back to James Brown in Los Angeles.
Hey, Pat, I'm certain this is shades of Dan Marino in your memory bank as well. Sean King faking the spike, instead going with the pass to Riedel Anthony. Tampa Bay comes away victorious over New England, 21-16. Back to Pat and John.
I'll never forget Marino doing that against the Jets.
That's a good time. The first game of the regular season is a good time to pull out the tricks. That's why I think we see reverses. I think we see like that fake spike, and those kinds of plays work very well the first game of the season.
Pritchett again. On first down, got back to the line of scrimmage, and that's about it. I wonder what kind of memories Troy Aikman has of his games against the Eagles. They sacked him 11 times up at Vet Stadium. They've always come after him. It always seems like it's been a difficult afternoon or night for him.
And you would think that the Cowboys by now would know that. And you can't do everything about it, but there's some things you can do about it that they didn't do.
Detmer lobs it in the end zone where it's picked off by Sparks. And the Cowboys take over.
So much for running.
Yeah.
I think when you have a game like this at 41-14, now you just want to get it over with, and you don't have to do these kinds of things. I mean, you can just run the ball, and then you can try for a field goal. Here, there was nothing there. I mean, there was no reason for Detmer to throw that ball at all.
Sparks was all ready to retire from football. He thought he was through playing. The Cowboys contacted him. Asked him to want to come back. Then he went to practice and threw up.
Yeah, the first day he threw up before they got the team
3 times.
That's what Darren Woodson was saying. Yeah, he said he was waiting for him to come. He didn't even make team. But you know, he was going to retire, and then they wanted him to come back, and he said no, he wasn't going to come back because he was satisfied with his life. And then I think they added a little more length to the money.
And a little more money. Cunningham incomplete. Intended for Galloway. For an update, let's return again to James Brown in Los Angeles.
Hey, Pat, you think folks will be shocked about this one? Quarterback Jay Fiedler hooking up with Oronde Gadsden. 16 yards. Miami manhandled Seattle today. 23-0. 6 Seattle turnovers didn't help the cause at all. Back to Pat and John.
We will be visiting with an unhappy Mike Holmgren this week.
That's right. Our game next week is the St. Louis Rams at Seattle.
Cunningham back in the pocket. Incomplete. Intended for Galloway.
You know, talking about Mike Holmgren, though, doesn't Andy Reid have all the mannerisms?
He really
of Mike
does.
Holmgren?
Even sounds like him.
Yeah, he sounds like him. He talks like him. He acts like, and he has so much of the same background. I mean, both of them coached at San Francisco State. Both of them coached at BYU. Both of them coached at, Green Bay. And they I mean, their background is so similar that you could see why they do.
He may have a little broader background than Mike. Cunningham picked off by the Eagles. Rashard Cook makes the interception.
I was talking to Steve Mariucci the other day, the coach of the 49ers, and he told me the first time, he said, say hello to Andy Reid for me. Said the first time they met Andy Reid, they were both going to coach at Green Bay.
Yep.
And they were in a hotel in Green Bay, and a fire alarm went off, and they both got out in the hallway in their underwear. And Mariucci went up and said to Andy Reid, "You must be Andy Reid."
And that's how they met?
That's how they met. That's the first time they ever saw each other, and that's how they met.
There's no more to that story?
No. That's the end. Just two coaches in their underwear in the hallway saying hello to each other.
Joey Galloway being helped back to his feet. See if we can figure out how he got hurt.
Well, you see, this is a good picture of a cover two where you get up and and they just bumped him. He just got bumped out of bounds, and you could look. It looked like his left knee just went or cramped up. It was on the bump. Harris came up and hit him, and we talked about wanting to be physical and how they were going to go after Troy Aikman, but the other thing that they wanted to do was be very physical on the wide receivers too.
And Andy Reid likes that. He likes a little nastiness.
Well, the guy that did that was Al Harris.
Yeah.
He's a pretty good player. And he's a third corner, but Al Harris as a cornerback could start on a lot of teams.
Jackie Harris, who just made the reception.
It's so hot down there, and those guys have been out there for so long. You're never sure when a guy goes down there if he has an injury or if it's just fatigue or if it's a combination of fatigue and cramp and those kinds of things. There's Al Harris. To be a corner in this league, you have to have a pretty good dose of cockiness.
And a bad memory. Or a good memory.
A bad memory. You have to forget anything bad that happens to you. You have to forget about it, and you have to believe that no one can beat you. That's why I think some of those corners are so demonstrative, because they're kind of talking themselves into it.
Well, after you talk to Darrell Green or Deion Sanders, two of the best. Both of them not cocky, but very sure of themselves and sure that no one could beat them.
I would put Deion Sanders in the category of cocky.
I think I would too. There are people around here who would too. Cunningham throws it outside to Michael Wiley. Flag on the play. Wiley, a rookie running back from Ohio State.
The Cowboys had a quarterback, Clint Sterner, that played a lot in the preseason, and he's on the practice squad, so they'll probably have to activate him. And whatever that was to Joey Galloway is not an unserious thing. When they put him on the cut, you know, you see something like that and you hope it's a cramp, but you know when you see this that it's worse than a
It looked
cramp.
like something just gave way.
Yeah, it was when he got jolted.
Disqualification, number 79. He'll be half the distance to the goal. And the subsequent unsportsmanlike conduct, which will be half the distance to goal from there, which will put the ball on the 7-yard line.
Eric Williams.
Yep, another combination of heat and frustration. Eric Williams missed most of the preseason, was going to retire. Tough guy from Philadelphia, so this is a beating that is very, very hard for him to take, and sometimes you just have to hold those things within you, and he didn't do it.
Sorry to say, Clint Sterner, the quarterback on the practice squad, played at the University of Arkansas, and Frank Broyles, who's the athletic director, called Jerry Jones and said, take a look at this guy. He's the best we've ever had. And that's the only time Broyles has ever done that.
Right. They're going over to explain what Eric Williams did. Watch, here he is right there, and watch him. He just elbowed him to the rib. So that was one thing, and I think there was something else. And now when you get ejected, that player has to leave. So referee Tom White went over, I'm sure, to tell him that he's ejected and he has to leave the field. You cannot be ejected and stay on the sideline.
So the word on this guy, Joey Galloway, is he sprained his left knee in that collision with Al Harris over on the sideline. 3rd and 28. The stands are almost empty as the Big E heads for the locker room.
Yeah, they don't let them, you know, stay on the sideline. Once they eject them, they mean that they not only have to get off the field, but they can't go to the sideline. They have to go to the locker room.
Neutral zone infraction, number 53, defense. It's a 5-yard penalty. Remains 3rd down.
Hugh Douglas is number 53 for Philadelphia.
You know, you see that. You see a Joey Galloway being carried off. You see Troy Aikman, who you know is taken away and is in the hospital. And you think of all the, you know, I mean, everything is so close. You just get ready. You're excited for the first game of the season, and then these things happen. They can just devastate a team the very first week.
That's Wiley. Outside the 20, short of the 1st down. Well, devastate. You think about Aikman and Galloway, both losing both of them. Those were 2 of the weapons they were really, really counting on.
Well, the whole off season. That was when they started. They brought in, you know, Jack Riley, and they were going to, you know, score more, be more wide open on offense, you know, use speed and those types of things. And then, boom, this happens to you.
Mike Honor, kick is fair, caught by Brian Mitchell.
But then on the other hand, the Eagles, they just kind of stay up there in Philadelphia. They don't bother anyone. And, you know, everyone's talking about the Washington Redskins, the Dallas Cowboys, the New York Giants, and they just shut up and work and go to practice, and then they come out there and put a whipping like this on the Cowboys.
Led by Andy Reid.
John Runyon said he came to Philadelphia, one, obviously because of money. I mean, he's been paying a heck of a lot of money to play there, but he said he liked what Andy Reid said. I mean, they're going to build something. They're going to get better, and they'll be better next year and better the year after that. And better. He said that's the way we were at Tennessee. They were 8-8, 8-8, 8-8, then boom, we're in the Super Bowl.
This is Stanley Pritchett. Picked up about 9 yards. Hollis Thomas had a good day today. 41-14, 2 minutes left.
Right now.
When you're winning 41-14, the first game, the opening game, you can stay fresh.
Yeah, we talk about Deuce Staley, but that offensive line of his really did a good job. We talked about John Runyon and what he did, Jermaine Mayberry, John Wellborn, the left guard, Bubba Miller, the center, new center this year, Trey Thomas, who is a very good tackle. This is a strength of this offensive line, are both tackles, but they did a job too. I mean, they were the guys that did the blocking. They go Runyon, got that tackle trap. I mean, they were the guys that sold the play pass. They were the guys that pass protected. I mean, the pass protection of this Philadelphia Eagle team was outstanding.
That's Pritchett. Coming up on our Auto Trader postgame report, J.B. Terry, Howe, and Chris will have scores from around the league, and Fox Sports Ticker will have up to the second stats. That's all coming up next on the postgame report. So stick around.
Yeah, we were talking about people handling the heat today and how the fans had to, and you can see the different things that they did, and obviously how the players and coaches had to. But another group has handled the heat very well today. That's the officials. I mean, I think that, when you don't notice officials, and they do a job like this, I thought under these conditions they did an outstanding job.
Stanley Pritchett gets the carry.
Pritchett on the carry.
Less than 30 seconds remaining now. And that's going to be all of this one, with the Dallas Cowboys in frustration walking off. Dave Campo coaching debut. Very much a disappointment. Andy Reid's very enthusiastic and very successful. 41-14. We'll be back with the play of the game right here at Texas Stadium in a moment.